Happy New Year and welcome to another episode of Yesterday's Capers. I'm still Abdullah Moallim, and every week I will still be bringing you the very best shows from the past that the world has to offer. Now today we're going to do things a little bit differently, and we'll take a look back on the duo that defined and shaped cartoons for millions and millions of children throughout the world for well over 50 years. We profile William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, more commonly known as Hanna Barbera. We'll talk about how they first met and how they came about to creating some of the biggest and best cartoons you would ever have watched in your entire life. And I bet you there's a chance that you, the listener, love at least two shows that came from this duo. And producer Paul and I will give you our top 5 Hanna Barbera shows as well as our top 5 characters. And without further ado, let's get started. And back with me again for 2020, it's producer Paul.
Hey man, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I feel like I'm on the brink of like a massive sickness.
I think I'm going to stay away from you a little bit. I've managed to, there's been a lot going around this winter and I've managed to stay away from it all, but...
No, but I was a little bit ill before, and now it seems like it's come back.
With a vengeance.
Something like that, yeah. So I've downed some Robitussin, so I reckon that should hold me up for about a few hours. So we'll try and make this a short and sweet podcast. So I always say that, and then 2 hours later, and me in post going, what the hell are we talking about? Why is it so long? But like I said, we're going to do things a little bit differently just so that I can ease back into this whole podcast thing, because it's been a minute. So
yeah,
got to try and ease our way back in. And what better way to do it than to talk about two people who created thousands upon thousands of cartoons that I loved watching as a kid. You probably loved watching as a kid. And yeah, Hanna and Barbera.
I had a really good idea for this thing. Right? I was like, I'm going to watch one of every cartoon that they ever made. I didn't get there.
Of course you didn't. Where would you even start?
Well, firstly, it's really hard to find them on the internet, a lot of them.
Is it?
Like I think, do you know the little sketchy ones,
right?
Just kind of little sketches, and it's old film and stuff like that. You can see the film fleck and stuff like that. It's quite cool, but a lot of them are quite difficult to find. There's a lot of intros and outros and credit scenes and theme scenes, but hardly any of the not hardly any, but there's like quite a few where the actual cartoon in the middle is missing.
I also had an idea of a similar vein that I wanted to read out every cartoon that Hanna and Barbera did, and I was trying to practice it on my way here, and I ran out of breath by the 60s.
Yeah,
because it's
and you've still got all the way till now.
It's too much. Yeah, I mean, well, they're dead, so
yeah. But what I mean is like the cartoons are still like.
Oh, I don't think they show them anymore.
You've got like Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's the newish stuff. I don't think they show that anymore, do they?
It's hard to find anywhere. I found it on YouTube.
Well, yeah, most of them will pretty much would be on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I think some of them, as you were saying, Dexter's Lab, Cow and Chicken, they're all, I think,
that was like
in collaboration. So I don't think they actually created them per se. I just think that they sort of adapted it. And
okay, well, I've got those on my list. Should I take them off?
Well, no, you shouldn't. It's still technically Hanna and Barbera, but
when did they die?
William Hanna died of esophageal cancer in 2001, and Joseph Barbera died of natural causes in 2006.
Surely everything's a natural cause.
Well, maybe old age, or it was just one of those where he quite literally passed away. Just it was his time to go. So talking about William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, just quickly. So William Hanna was born in New Mexico in 1910, And he first joined the Harman and Ising Animation Studio in 1930. And that is where he steadily gained skill and prominence working on cartoons such as Captain and the Kids. And Joseph Barbera was born in Manhattan, New York, in the Little Italy area to Italian immigrants. And he joined Van Buren Studios in 1927. And then while working in California for MGM, that is where he met William Hanna. And the very, very first project that they kind of did for, I think, MGM was Puss Gets the Boot, which involved two characters by the name of Tom and Jerry. And at the time, it was crazy because Fred Quimby didn't really want to develop it. And because Puss Gets the Boot got rave reviews from so many people, I think Hanna and Barbera were like, let's do something with this. This is a concept that can really, really work. And I think they just kind of went off and they further developed and further created Tom and Jerry without Fred Quimby. And hey presto, they came up with, Tom and Jerry, which was like
arguably one of the most famous cartoons ever.
All time, and so many awards that they'd won. And the interesting thing about Tom and Jerry as well was I think William Hanna had said at the time was, we knew we needed two characters. We thought we needed conflict and chase and action. And a cat after a mouse seemed like a good basic thought. So it's fairly straightforward. Cat hates mouse. Cat wants to get mouse. But the mouse is shrewd and clever and gets better of the cat. And I think as well, part of it was that when they were winning all the awards, it was obviously under the umbrella of MGM and Fred Quimby. And I think Hanna Barbera were kind of like, hey, we did this. You know, where's love? Like, where's the love kind of thing? And instead, that MGM as well were kind of like, you know what? Instead of making new stuff all the time, which is a waste of money, they just thought, you know what? We're just going to re-release old cartoons. And that was kind of sort of the stepping stones and the foundations of Hanna and Barbera just thinking, you know what? Maybe we should try and branch out. Maybe we should try and do this on our own. And I think what kind of made them two such a good duo was Barbera was a skilled gag writer and sketch artist, whereas Hanna had the gift for timing, story construction, and getting the very best artists, whether it's doing a really catchy theme song, whether it's doing really cool voices. Because obviously, as we know, with Hanna Barbera, there's got all the catchphrases, yabba dabba doo, and you got Top Cat and all that good stuff, you know, Scooby Dooby Doo, and all of that. So I think that's where they thought, you know what, maybe we can try and go at it alone. And I like this. They did a coin toss to determine who would have precedence in the naming of a new company. So William Hanna won the toss, which is why they, I think, ended up calling it. First, it was HB Enterprises, and then they changed it to Hanna and Barbera or Hanna Barbera Productions. So that's how.
Do you know what he called Heads or Tails? That'd be an interesting fact.
Well, I don't know.
Because obviously he won a coin toss, but what did he call Heads or Tails?
Tails, I think.
Do you reckon?
Tails never fails.
I'm always a heads guy.
Tails never fails.
It always fails.
Tails is undefeated. It's undefeated. And so in 1957, the first offering from the new company was The Rough and Ready Show, which I have never heard of in my entire life.
I watched it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It's about, I think...
I know it's the friendship between a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
So it's one of those dynamics. I think that was another interesting thing about Hanna and Barbera. Most of their programs was always a friendship, a duo. Whether it's Fred and Barney, whether it's Rough and Ready, whether it's...
TC and Officer Dibble.
But yeah, like there's always a to and fro, back and forth between two characters. I think that was the sort of foundation on most of their successful shows. Fred and Barney, Scooby and Shaggy, Dastardly and Muttley. So it's you can go on and on and on with this. Yogi Bear and Boo Boo.
Yeah.
So it's you go on, and it's you think of all of these incredible duos and incredible tandems that they had, and they really made the show, and it gave the show so much life and character and personality, which was pretty awesome. And after the success of the Rough and Ready show, they were allowed to go ahead and make the Huckleberry Hound show and the Yogi Bear show. And I think Huckleberry Hound won an Emmy, I think. Yeah, it was one of the first sort of animated series to win an Emmy. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, so yeah, it was the first sort of animated series that won. And from there, they kind of realized that they did a survey that most of the viewers of Huckleberry Hound were adults. And so they thought, oh, this is interesting. Most of our audience is, as well as kids, it's also adults. And that was where they came up with probably their most iconic, The Flintstones, which was a parody of The Honeymooners. The show follows a typical Stone Age family with home appliances, talking animals, and it was probably the first animated primetime show that was unprecedented success. And Jackie Gleason from The Honeymooners actually considered suing Hanna Barbera for copyright infringement because he thought it was very close to The Honeymooners. It was obviously a parody, but he decided not to because he didn't want to be known as, and I quote, the man who yanked Fred Flintstone off the air. And as it ran for 6 seasons, it became the longest running animated television show in American primetime at the time, which now is The Simpsons.
The Simpsons. You'll edit that in before you said it.
No, you should have known it was The Simpsons. It's quite a straightforward thing.
When you think about it, but for some reason it just didn't come into my head. Even though I watch The Simpsons probably every single day.
Well, yeah. 1989 and to this day, so...
To this day.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things I wrote about the Flintstones was it's just hella iconic.
Like, it is.
And it also reminds me of Ice Pops.
Yes!
Do you remember the ones that have the Flintstones?
The blue one.
Yeah.
I think that was the dinosaur, wasn't it? And Barney was the Coca-Cola one. That was the two best ones.
Yeah.
Wilma was the strawberry one.
Fred was the yellow one.
Fred was orange.
Orange, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the green one. I think Betty was the green one. Like the green, the Coca-Cola one, and the blue ones were the nice ones. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Flintstone ice poles. Yeah. Oh, that used to be our thing. Man. But yeah, the Coca-Cola one, Barney Rubble. That was
that was the one.
Probably the best one. Yeah, probably the best one. And as Hanna-Barbera was growing into prominence in the 60s, they were getting a load of hate from other artists because television programs, or TV producers, they wanted to make television shows with lower budgets than anything in sort of theatrical animation. So it meant that loads of animation studios at the time went out of business in the 1950s and the 60s. And a lot of people were put out of business. And partly the reason of that was because Hanna-Barbera developed and they were key in limited animation, which allowed it to be cost effective. But it might have been less quality because I think the traditional is that they used to draw each frame by hand, whereas in limited animation, you don't have to redraw entire frames. You could just still use some of the same pictures and images, but like in different styles and techniques. And that was seen to be a really cost-effective spending less money. And I think limited animation, when I think of it now, I think South Park is one of the best examples of limited animation. I think The Simpsons is another example, where it's just like, yeah, instead of spending hundreds and thousands of pounds getting all these animators and sketch drawers and people who are going to like do things frame by frame, this was the cost-effective way of doing it. And Hanna Barbera, I think, even from the get-go, that was their deal, that we're going to do limited animation. And because I think it was a case of Barbera saying that their choice was to adapt to television budgets or change careers.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't think people are going to like take a chance on putting out a wad of cash on a cartoon that may be a hit, maybe it won't be a hit.
Well, and you can see that with like half the cartoon list is like not a hit, right? And then you got some that are like, obviously some that are just like
I think in the
most
midst
iconic.
Of all the hits and all of the successes, there's a programs that you just think, maybe we should never ever talk about this ever again in history. And in 1967, Hanna Barbera was sold to Taft Broadcasting for a whopping $25 million, but they actually stayed on as heads of the company until 1991. So even then, they were still out there creating all sorts of programming, creating all sorts of shows, and them all being an unprecedented success. And then in 1969, we had Scooby-Dooby-Doo, which is probably, again, one of the more iconic cartoons, the more iconic characters of all time. Is often referred to as the General Motors of animation. So again, it was a blended comedy action and elements from I Love a Mystery and The Many Loves of Dobby Gills. So basically following around a bunch of teenage kids, solving a mystery, and in the end, catching the bad guy who's often part of the story. So that was Scooby-Dooby-Doo. And then obviously other programs in the 1960s. Let me try and read some of these out. Obviously, yeah, Top Cat in 1961. The Jetsons, which was a space-themed show, which I never really got into, actually. I watched
them today, just to try and get up on somebody. Let me just quickly, I know you're going to go through this, but...
That's all right.
Let me just quickly read you my notes.
What, on the Jetsons?
On the Jetsons. Where's the Jetsons? Stupid but funny and a little bit sexist theme tune. George gets a ticket and gets pulled over by a magnet on a police bike. I thought that was quite a clever thing. If a police car had a magnet on the front of it. And everyone is so lazy. That's what I wrote about the Jetsons.
Interesting. It's probably one of the most famous cartoons that I have zero or no idea about. Little or no idea.
I think I'd seen it before. I think as an adult, you watch it with slightly more realistic head on your shoulders, you know?
This episode will be interesting when we get around to doing the Jetsons, which I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
It's I want to actually sit down and watch a few episodes of this. Also, you had the Atamant and Secret Squirrel show, which I had heard of.
I love that. I love it so much.
Secret Squirrel is great. I don't know Atamant. I think Atamant, I've heard of it, but I don't think I'd seen it. Some of the other characters of that show include Precious Pup, the Hillbilly Bears, and
Squiggly Diddly.
Winsome Witch, and yes, Squiddly Diddly, of course. But yeah, Secret Squirrel was kind of my joint.
Do you know? I was watching some Squiddly Diddly, and not Squiddly Diddly, Secret Squirrel, and I noticed that his Secret Squirrel's voice. I'm not sure about all of the episodes, but certainly the first episode is the same as Sylvester from Sylvester and Tweety. Same guy that voiced him.
Did you look up who voiced it?
Yeah, I had to because it was driving me crazy. I was like, this sounds like
And
him.
it wasn't, was it?
It was, yeah.
Same person?
Same person.
Wow.
At least in the first episode. I didn't watch anymore, so I don't know.
The first adaptation that they kind of took on under their wing was Sinbad Jr. and his Magic Belt. Other adaptations include Laurel and Hardy, Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles, I think they did Arabian Nights or their version. They did Samson and Goliath. They did one on Gulliver's Travels as well.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, so these are all Huck Finn as well. And then, of course, in the end of the 1960s, they did probably one of the best ones, Wacky Races. Woo!
Amazing.
Loved the Wacky Races. And they did the Perils of Penelope Pitstop, which was a spin-off of Wacky Races. So it's just basically Penelope Pitstop trying to get away from a creepy guy who's all following her around, which is essentially what that show was. And obviously, yeah, Darcy and Muttley had their own shows in their flying machines. Stop the Pigeon.
That was incredible. What is that pigeon? Is it a carrier pigeon from is it a war time?
I don't know why he's after that pigeon. I'd never really got it.
No, I mean, the only thing I was thinking about, he's on the phone to the general, right? He's like, General, what's going on? This and that and the other. And a pigeon is Yankee Doodle Pigeon, so I'm guessing that maybe he's supposed to be fighting for some foreign army, and that's the American army trying to intercept a carrier pigeon.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. But again, once we get around to doing this, maybe we'll find the answers. And obviously, yeah, you had Wingdings, who I think he's like, with the weird neck going, oh, I think the pigeons is getting away. There's a lead. Oh. He's a long neck and just like.
Is that the one that makes the sound effects?
Yeah.
His head goes up and down and.
Yeah, it's not Wingdings. I'm sure that's Wingdings.
I don't have no idea.
I'm sure it is. But yeah, like I said, the 60s was like probably the golden age of Hanna Barbera, and that was when they probably had their biggest success. Once we go into the 1970s, you had various creations of Scooby-Doo and some of the stuff he does, including some new characters such as
Scrappy-Doo
and Scooby-Dum. That's who I was.
Scooby-Dum, is that the white one?
Yeah. He's like the white ghost dog looking thing. So that was the 1970s. Obviously, they did an animation based on the Harlem Globetrotters, which was pretty cool. I would be able to whistle, but I'm sick, so I'm sure you'll give me the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, the Pebbles and Bam Bam show. Josie and the Pussycats. Josie and the Pussycats. Yes. No. Woo! Great cartoon.
I was glad that I didn't have to watch that one.
And then, of course, you had Josie in outer space, guitars and fancy clothes, Mars bars, Milky Way, where they end up, we don't know. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Josie and the Pussycats in outer space.
I don't know how you remember all that.
I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go along myself. So maybe, yeah, the Robitussin is kicking in and I'm a little bit delirious. Obviously, yeah, Help, it's the Hair Bear Bunch.
Oh, that's incredible. They had the invisible bike.
I wasn't crazy about the Hair Bear Bunch.
It was quite funny.
It was okay. Flintstones Comedy Hour. Again, that was some of the things. Again, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yogi's Gang. Obviously, Yogi Bear was another one of the big ones that came out in the 60s. Hey, boo-boo. We gotta get out for the park ranger come get us. Yay. Oh, well, Yogi Bear's great, isn't he? He's great. Hong Kong Phooey.
Loved Hong Kong Phooey.
Woo, that is an absolute cracker, that, isn't it? Like I said, I'm not reading these all out. I'm just not. All right, like
there's too many.
Yeah. Obviously, the Scooby All-Star Laugh Olympics. So you had Scooby-Doo Show, Scooby-Doo Where Are You, Laugh Olympics, Captain K-Man and the Teen Angels, the Blue Falcon, and Dino Mutt. That was another interesting show. And the 80s, which kind of saw the decline, if you like. It was where they weren't necessarily getting as much of the attention that they were getting. They weren't really... it kind of felt like they were running out of steam almost, but still, they had a big success with the Smurfs, which I think they had sort of taken up on their wing obviously adapted from the comic by Pierre Colliford or Peyo. I think it ran longer than not Scooby-Doo, Flintstones. So it was a really, 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 really big success of theirs. Obviously, the Snorks as well was another one that they had adapted, which we spoke about. The Quickie Koala Show. I really like the Quickie Koala Show.
Quickie Koala Show. It kind
First
of...
you think
now
you got
said
him, but then you don't. It's just basically a koala bear that's just basically always trying to get away. It's the Quickie Koala. He's a very difficult to follow. First you think you got him, but then you don't. I think that's, the Quickie Koala Show. And obviously they had the Bungle Brothers, Crazy Claus, and the Dirty Dog. But yeah, that was, that's an incredibly slept on Hanna Barbera show, that. Also, you had Yogi's Treasure Hunt. So this was kind of like characters of Hanna Barbera, and they're all basically searching for treasure. You got Top Cat, who's basically the guy who's telling them the clues and whatnot. And it included characters from the Huckleberry Hound show, the Quick Draw McGraw show, the Yogi Bear show, Top Cat, Wacky Races, the Rough and Ready show, the Peter Potamus show, the Adam Ant, Secret Squirrel, all basically trying to hunt off and try and get the gold, which was there was a pretty fun show. And then you had the Fantastic World of Hanna and Barbera, which was a live action animated syndicated programming block, which would just show a whole bunch of Hanna and Barbera shows, whether it was old, whether it was new. Obviously, in '86, they tried to flog Johnny Quest, because obviously it didn't quite work out back in 1964. So they thought, let's try and give it a go. And then in the 90s, I think you mentioned Bill and Ted, didn't you?
No.
They did an adaptation of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Obviously, Tom and Jerry Kids. It's the Tom and Jerry Kids. That was
the Tom and Jerry Kids something.
Yeah,
I remember.
Spike and Tyke. Yeah, that was a really fun cartoon. And then obviously some of the other stuff that they kind of took on, as you maybe mentioned, was Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory. Obviously the real adventures of Johnny Quest, which had the incredible tub thumping theme song that was just so epic. Ugh. Maybe I'll try and play it again.
No, I'm not too fast if you can't.
Obviously, Cow and Chicken. Cow. Chicken. Oh, that's great. Obviously, again, Powerpuff Girls as well.
Yeah.
Which, I ended up liking. So, big up to the Powerpuff Girls. I thought they were, it was a good cartoon, actually, in the end.
No, it was rubbish.
Bam, bam, ba-da-da-ba, bam, bam, ba-da-da-ba-ba. What are you talking about? Powerpuff Girls was great. Didn't we decide in the end it was great?
No, you decided it was great. I decided Johnny Bravo was great. And then I think we had a row. We didn't record for 2 weeks, and then...
Is that what happened?
Pretty sure that's what
happened. You could probably tell me anything at this point, and I will believe you, because I don't know anything right now. So I'm just all like, But I'm doing this podcast for the love of the game, and I want to get it out there for you guys. So right, and so other things worth mentioning was the interesting thing that I read about Hanna and Barbera was outside of work they never really hung out. They had two completely different social circles. So William Hanna's circle of friends was primarily other animators, whereas Joseph Barbera would socialize with Hollywood celebrities. Jar Jar Gabor was a frequent visitor to his house.
I don't know who that is. I thought you were going to say Jar Jar Binks.
I swear she was in Fresh Prince. Please, no pictures. You know, the old white lady. She was going around the house going, please, no pictures. I swear that's her.
How do you spell her name?
Zsa Zsa Gabor. ZSA Gabor.
ZSA.
Zsa Zsa. I'm sure, yeah.
Straight away. I don't know.
When did she die?
By the look of this, 1901. 2016.
2016?
Yeah.
How long did she live then?
101 years, but no, 101 years? No, 99 years. 99 years.
I mean, 99 years ain't nothing to frown about either.
So she was born in 6th of Feb 1917, and she died 18 December 2016. So it's nearly 100 years, very nearly.
Woo-wee. But no, yeah, I think, because like I said, like they rarely hung out. They rarely spoke outside of work. Because Hanna was interested in the outdoors. Barbera liked beaches, good food and drink. But because they worked so well together, they never really had a bad thing to say about each other. Like Barbera said, we understood each other perfectly. And each of us had deep respect for the other's work. And Hanna had said that Barbera could capture mood and expression in a quick sketch better than anyone I've ever known. So like they obviously, they were close, they were mates, but when it came to like outside and socializing, they didn't, which I found really interesting.
That is quite interesting, considering they had like phenomenal success.
Yeah.
You would expect that when you got your workmates and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
you're working,
yeah.
but you haven't got all the money in the world, so you're not like, out with the celebrities.
It might be a case where if they did hang out with each other outside of work, maybe there would be a chance that they don't necessarily like each other's company or they don't like each other's personality. Because like I said, there is people who you kind of work with, and then you've got people who you hang out with, and you know that's your sort of circle of friends.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe your work friends might not necessarily fall into that category.
Well, I think like with your workmates and stuff like that, you've always got like you've got like some references that you'd always kind of like with banter and stuff that you would never be able to. Someone on the outside would never be able to kind of latch onto that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm at work, I'll be talking about something geeky about cameras or lenses or lights or things that happen during the work. And if you're talking to someone about outside of work, they're not necessarily going to get references or find it that interesting.
But no, yeah, they I think maybe it was for the best that they would always sort of stay out of each other's sort of personal lives. And when it came down to business, when it came down to coming up with a hit,
they just smashed it.
A banger, that they would more often than not, in the midst of some of the programs that might not be as successful or as big, they would have some that would just take over the world, really, like Scooby-Doo or the Flintstones or Top Cat or even Yogi Bear. Like, these are like people just genuinely, doesn't matter where you are in the world, that you can watch it and just fall in love with it and just think this is the best thing ever. And I think with them too, it was just that in a way that they were both risk takers, in the sense that they really went above and beyond to realize and really bring about the value of television. You can make things, because obviously maybe back then it was all, we're going to go to the pictures, we're going to go to the movies, that's where the money is, that's where all the best stuff is. Whereas they were like, you know what, we can bring entertainment into millions and millions of people's homes, and we can really shape and define the culture and really build a following, a fan base of kids for like many generations. I
just wonder, right, because obviously what they did to branch out on their own and to choose a path where they're creating the cartoons and they're creating all the characters and things like that. It's quite a brave thing, right?
Yeah,
It's quite like to leave MGM, which is like a huge conglomerate, you know, to then go out alone, right? I know they didn't really have much of a choice about going out alone, but
yeah, I think they were all kind of fired, really.
Yeah, but what I mean is, do you think that when you're in that mindset and you're scared and you're kind of like, how I'm going to pay the bills, like I've got to create this thing, and this is kind of the only thing I'm good at. Do you think that at that point they realized how enormous there would be? Because you can't really watch a cartoon, you know, TV cartoon string without either watching something by Hanna Barbera or something heavily influenced by it.
Yeah. I think as well that they acquiesced to TV producers' demands. Because it was like, they would say, oh, we have an idea. This could work. The TV people say, all right, we're only going to give you X, Y, and Z. We're not going to give you big budget, big money.
Yeah.
This is what you've got. Make do and mend. And I think they were brilliant at doing that with the whole limited animation and managing to create stories, managing to create characters and creating incredibly successful shows. And obviously TV producers are always going to go for the ones where there's less money. Yeah. They're not going to go for the ones that is top dollar and spending incredible amounts of money because obviously, budget is tight. We can't pay everybody. We can't get everything on TV. And I think what they were brilliant at doing was they were good at adapting to the moment. They were good at adapting and making these different shows using, at the time, limited animation was an innovation. It wasn't the thing that people use, whereas Hanna Barbera were like, we will do this. You don't have to pay us as much as you may have to for the traditional animation. And yeah, that's why so many studios and places they just ran out because they had emptied the tank on what they know, whereas Hanna Barbera were willing to branch out and say, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to develop it and we're going to come up with these pretty cool characters. And I think what helped as well is that they were willing to take on other things as well. So doing adaptations of other stories, whether it be Huckleberry Finn or Sinbad or even Josie and the Pussycats, they were willing to say, look, okay, fine, we'll do it on our own branch and we'll Hanna and Barbera it up. So we'll have a giggling cat in Josie and the Pussycats. We'll have that own little style to it. We'll have the limited animation. We'll have the whole, the music and a little bit of the live action stuff. So like things happening and even like with some of the songs as well. So it's just adding them on as well. So I think that's what they did. And that's why they survived and thrived for as long as they did.
Yeah. I mean, you can always tell a Hanna Barbera cartoon. Well,
I think so.
Very quickly you can tell.
I can. Well, apart from the ident at the end of the Hanna Barbera show with the star going.
Yeah, and the Hanna Barbera intro card.
Yeah. So that's all, the telltale sign. But also like with characters, with just how they are, with like the corny music in the background.
Do you know one thing I noticed about Hanna Barbera, which is a bit of a weird thing to notice, but I noticed on Wacky Races and again on a couple of other cartoons. So if you're watching a racing thing, right? I'm just talking about modern continuity techniques that are used in filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
And TV. So when I'm thinking someone goes from start to finish, right? I'm even doing it with my hands now.
Yeah.
They go from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's like pretty standard, right? Wacky Races, they race from right to left. They're always traveling screen left. and it's like they don't travel screen right.
Is that what it's meant to be like?
Always.
In racing?
So that's what I'm saying. So normally, like in a normal situation, you'd expect them to go from start to finish, right? Which would be, generally speaking, from left to right.
I'll have to watch Wacky Races to. But I do know I don't know. Like I'm watching a race. I'm not. Yeah.
But so if you,
I think it's something that you notice now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now that this is your.
Like I think it's just something that when you kind of know about techniques and filmmaking techniques and stuff like that, they kind of went against the grain, and I'm not sure why they did that, but maybe when we do Wacky Races, we'll find that out.
I think it was again just trying different techniques, just trying the whole limited animation and really developing it and really putting it on the big screen almost. I think Wacky Races ended up being one of their most successful shows. Well, in my opinion, it's one of their best. I think. Definitely.
I agree completely.
It's fantastic. I just loved watching it, and I would always root for Penelope Pitstop.
I was always Dastardly and Muttley every time. And they tried so hard to win, man.
No, they didn't.
If they'd have tried half as hard with just racing as they did with like finding out elaborate ways to cheat. Do you know one of my favourite things in cartoons ever is, do you know when they go through a picture and then they come out of like I saw one when they took a shortcut and they went through a poster. Do you know like a
yeah. I think I know that. Yeah.
When they do stuff like that, it's hilarious. And when I watched what a Roadrunner wear, I know it's not Hanna Barbera, but just quickly, where they he drew a tunnel in a wall, and then the Roadrunner went through the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then he tried to run through the tunnel, and he walked straight into it, like into the brick wall. Oh, it was great. That gag in cartoons is amazing.
Yeah. Something that film critic Leonard Matlin had said about Hanna-Barbera was that they, and I quote, held a record for producing consistently superior cartoons using the same characters year after year without a break or change in routine. Their characters are not only animated superstars, but also a very beloved part of American pop culture. And they are often considered Walt Disney's only rivals when it comes to cartoon animation.
Well, how long ago was that written? Because DreamWorks are pretty damn good.
I mean, yeah, probably it was written ages ago, but if you're thinking at the time, particularly the 60s and 70s. And
isn't MGM owned by Disney now?
I have no idea. Probably.
I don't know.
But yeah, it was obviously Disney would have the big feature-length movies, and it would be amazing, incredible, and whatnot. And it was only in the 80s when they kind of took on doing TV series like DuckTales or Darkwing Duck, I believe, and
Recess,
Chippendale Rescue Rangers. So that was when they only decided to really do that then. But like back then, it was either if you're animations, if it ain't Walt Disney or Hanna-Barbera, then
it ain't nothing.
Yeah. So that was that, and also they had won 7 Academy Awards, 8 Emmy Awards. As I said, the 1960 Emmys for Huckleberry Hound Show. And obviously they got praised for their music. So in the Cat Concerto in Tom and Jerry, which is a classic Tom and Jerry episode. And Johann Maus, which for my money is the best Tom and Jerry episode, I think, in my opinion. Absolutely love Johann Maus. It was when he's living in Austria. And basically he's really good at playing the piano. And every time he's playing the piano, Tom's trying to get him. And then they realize how good he is. And so they make him play in the big opera hall. And they realize that Jerry's only really good when Tom's trying to get him. And they kind of realize that they work well together in that respect. So that was, Johann Maus is, for my money, it's the best ever Tom and Jerry. And some of the others that they won a Golden Globe for television achievement in 1960. They won the Golden IKE Award for Pacific Pioneers in Broadcasting. They won the Pioneer Award for Broadcast Music Incorporated. They won the NATPE Men of the Year Iris Award in 1988. They were given the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Licensing Industry Merchandisers Association. They also got a Governor's Award of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences in 1988, and the Jackie Coogan Award for Outstanding Contribution to Youth Through Entertainment and Youth in Film as well in 1988. So that was quite a winning year for the duo. And they won the Frederick W. Ziv Award for Outstanding Achievement in Telecommunications in the Conservatory of Music, University of Cincinnati. They were given the stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1976. They obviously won several Annie Awards. They were inducted into the Television Hall of Fame in 1994. And the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences and Warner Brothers Animation dedicated a wall sculpture at the Television Academy's Hall of Fame Plaza in North Hollywood.
Did they get a star each?
I think they did, yeah. I mean, they both got a star each. And the cute thing was that Joseph Barbera made his acting debut in the live-action Flintstones features film.
Really?
Yeah, and
the one with John Goodman in it.
I think so, the '93 version.
Yeah.
And then he published his autobiography, My Life in Tunes, in 1994. So I think it's time for us to reveal our top 5 Hanna-Barbera shows, as well as our top 5 characters. So do you want to go first with the characters?
Oh, characters first.
Yeah, you got to do it from 5 to 1.
So the least favourite to the most favourite. Oh, the thing is, I've struggled with an order. All right, okay. So in order, then the 5 is in the 5th one.
Yeah, well, coming in at number 5.
Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory.
Was that a Hanna-Barbera creation though?
If you want to go Hanna-Barbera creation.
Because what I did was I initially had Valerie from Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah.
But because Josie and the Pussycats was a comic that Hanna-Barbera adapted, I thought that it.
Okay, so I'm going to replace.
Count. Yeah, I had to replace Valerie with a character.
Okay, I didn't know about the rules, so I've replaced him with Squiddly Diddly then.
Oh, okay.
Then 4 will be Tom and Jerry.
Oh.
3rd, Secret Squirrel.
Ooh.
Then 2nd, Benny from TC. And
hiya, TC!
And then atop is TC.
Oh. Okay, so we both share our number ones. My number 1 is also Top Cat.
Yeah.
So we're rounding off my top 5. Number 5 is Yogi Bear. Number 4 is Muttley. Number 3, Barney Rubble. Number 2 is Penelope Pitstop. And also my number 1 is the most effectual Top Cat.
I mean, look.
The indisputable leader of the gang.
I think it's really hard to pick out just 5 characters. You know, out of all of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah.
To round it off to
honorable,
5.
Yeah. I mean, I think some honorable mentions has to be Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Who else? Choo Choo in Top Cat.
Yeah.
Hiya, TC. TC, we got a really, really big problem.
When I was watching Top Cat reruns, I was like, I couldn't help but think about when you covered Top Cat. And was it the
very first
episode? Yeah, with Chris and
Hey, TC, I just think a chandelier fell off my head. Oh, good stuff. What? Any other honourable mentions?
Listen, I absolutely love Secret Squirrel and Squiddly Diddly.
Yeah,
and
Secret
stuff
Squirrel
like
has to be an honourable mention. You know what?
Scooby Doo, surely.
Do you know what?
Shaggy.
I guess. I mean, we'll talk about this after we do our top 5 shows. Shall I go first this time?
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, in at number 5 for me is The Flintstones. I think I have to change number 4 because I had Josie and the Pussycats. But yeah, in at number 5 for me was The Flintstones. Number 4, I'm going to say The Quickie Koala Show. I'm going... Damn it, I'm going for it.
I never saw it. So.
The Quickie Koala Show is my number 4. Actually, you know what? I'm going to swap that. So number 5 will be the Quickie Koala Show.
Yeah.
Number 4 will be the Flintstones. Number 3 is Wacky Races. Number 2 is Top Cat. And number 1 for me is Tom and Jerry.
Fair enough.
Cannot beat Tom and Jerry for me in terms of Hanna Barbera creations.
See, I do like Tom and Jerry, but I grew up with Sylvester and Tweety. So for me, like a little cat and prey thing,
yeah,
it has to be Sylvester and Tweety. Tom and Jerry comes in second for me from that in that perspective. My top 5 are Hong Kong Phooey, Scooby Doo because it's Scooby Doo, and I've probably spent hours watching Scooby Doo just trying to figure out who's the baddie. Dastardly and Muttley and their flying machines, like. Yeah. I love that show when he gets the medals and there's so much stuff to love about it. Then Wacky Races, but I used to hate Wacky Races when I was like little, and
really?
And then I think we first got Sky when it must have been like mid-90s somewhere. And then we only had it for a very brief while because we moved house and we never took it with us. Yeah, but we had like we used to watch Wacky Races. I never used to like it, and then I think all of a sudden I just could not stop watching it. I loved it. This time, so I watched a few this time and I loved it. And the top has to be Top Cat for me.
Yeah, I think I was sort of mulling over Top Cat and Tom and Jerry.
Hey, listen, Tom and Jerry's like...
Yeah. Honourable mention to the Johnny Quest theme song from 1996.
Yeah, but only the theme song because the actual show was rubbish.
I don't care. Damn it. Damn it. If I could make a top 6, I would just include The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest theme song. You know some of these Hanna-Barbera shows that are really, really, really iconic? Like, I liked them, but I didn't love them. So I didn't love Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I didn't love the Flintstones, even though I said Barney Rubble's one of my favourite characters. And I didn't love Yogi Bear either. Like I liked Yogi Bear. I like him. I like hey, and chasing after the park ranger and just making a fool out of him. I liked all of that. It was very, very cute. But like these other shows that I've got on my list. So like, it's a shame that I've kind of made my own rule about Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah,
adaptations.
I mean, Josie and the Pussycats was rubbish. So
it was not rubbish. It was not rubbish at all. It's better than Scooby Doo.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I said what I said. I'm call me Mimi.
It's got the same characters in it.
I said what I said. It is better than Scooby Doo. It was an upgrade. I would rather watch an episode of Josie and the Pussycats in outer space than watch Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
I don't agree with that.
I thought Josie the Pussycats was cute. I thought it was a nice, cute cartoon. It was one that they adapted really, really well into a Hanna-Barbera model. I mean, I would never know if I didn't know. And I don't think it's a copy of Scooby-Doo because the Josie and the Pussycat comics came out before Hanna-Barbera came up with Scooby-Doo. So if anything, Scooby-Doo is copying Josie and the Pussycats.
Maybe
and
so,
Hanna-Barbera were probably feeling really lazy and just thought, you know what, let's make a non-singing version of Josie and the Pussycats. And instead of having a band, we're going to have a stupid dog and a bunch of teenage kids running around the place.
But it's the same teenage kids as the bloody Josie and the Pussycats.
It's not the same.
That's how you can tell that they got used that line.
No, we done been through this. We done said this.
What did you say it was called? The line animation thing?
Oh,
they've definitely used
limited animation.
They're like, oh crap, where's that character gone? Oh crap, give me that one from Scooby-Doo. Yeah, but I'm using it. Yeah.
I'll only be a second. Give the big bloke.
I'll only be a second. Copy.
Oh. You're like, oh, hey, Joseph, don't you think he looks a bit like Shaggy? Ah, what the hell, William?
Colour his hair in different colour.
We'll just put glasses on him. We'll put glasses on this guy. And he's nothing like him. What about a pet? We'll give them a dog that goes... Obviously, in Josie's Pussycats, you got Sebastian the cat. That's another thing of Hanna-Barbera. The stupid pet. Whether it's Azrael in the Smurfs,
Muttley.
Dastardly and Muttley, Sebastian, Scooby-Doo. They're always like the main... I think there was a main animal character in Johnny Quest as well, wasn't there? The little dog.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was
because didn't they have the dog always barked when they were sneaking around places?
Little dog, yeah. So there was that. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good place to bring it to an end. But we will probably at some point, whenever, get around to doing some of these shows individually. So rest assured, we will be talking about the Jetsons, the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Hong Kong Phooey, Wacky Races, Yogi Bear. We'll get around to doing all of those. But yeah, this was a fun episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys give it a listen. Let me know what you think. We will probably do more specials like these down the line as well. So whether it's a single cartoon or whether it's a Hanna Barbera type situation. So maybe we'll do a Walt Disney special. Maybe we'll do an anime special. So just, looking at various sort of different topics and areas of animation. And so we'll be back to our regularly scheduled head-to-heads and specials next week. So, check it out. Yesterday's Capers. It's available wherever you get your podcast from. You can follow us on the socials, on Instagram at Yesterday's Capers1. Twitter, it's Yesterday Capers. And you can follow me on Instagram at Abdullah_Moallim. On Twitter, it's Abdullah Moallim, all one word. Yeah, so give us a listen, like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And join us next week for another episode of Yesterday's Capers.